Good evening, Jakl Den. This is James, your prez, back with you again for another podcast. I believe this is number 28. We're here joined by father and son duo, so we get the insight from not just what's in the stands and what's on the pitch, but also, uh, I guess, what the conversation is on the way home from the game. Um, but I've got. What's great is this makes it easy. I've got two people next to me, and I'm going to say I've got Jason Tidwell, and that does it for both of them. I've got Jason Senior and Jason Junior. I've been told to call them. What was it? It was old and new.
Yeah, or the better looking one and
The
not
better.
so. Yeah.
You can tell which one's the son. Um, I want to start by just a couple minutes talking about some of the Jackal Den side of things. As you know, we have a game coming up, a home game against you this Saturday. I'm sorry, this Friday. Tailgating is going on at the normal spot. 2 hours. We'll be there starting at 5:30 p.m. We're in Lot E on the southeast corner, kitty corner from the entrance to the stadium. We'll have our flag set up. We'll have our barbecuing. We'll have a bunch of people. If you get there early, whether you're from the Utah side or the Jackal side, please come by, say hi. We'll have some coolers. We have a lot of social mingling. It's a great time. Get to see everybody and hang out before the game. I also want to talk about this upcoming game is the goal of the Jackals is to pack the house. That is their term this game. So we have a special promo code PTH24, pack the house 24. So PTH24 is the promo code. If you want to go buy your tickets, they're $16 for, I believe it was any seat. Is some deal like that. Also, the first 1,500 people in the stadium get a limited edition Sam Gola bobblehead, which we can all rattle around. I guess will make clicking noises during the match, but that's kind of cool. I'm excited to find out who made these and where they came from. The pictures look hand painted, so looks pretty cool. After the game in Utah, we have our first bye week, and then following that, we are playing at Miami. So we have a watch party coming up for that. That's going to be April 27th at 6:30 p.m. Texas time. We may have a possible new location. We'll get that out to you guys in the social medias. But so keep your ears open for that. And again, if you have locations for watch parties, please let us know. We're passing all these along to the Jackals administration, trying to get an official watch party location set up for all the games going forward and to build that relationship for the future seasons. That all being said, let's dive into this last match against Seattle. So this was kind of a tough one. Being at home watching it, it was first, I'm old. It was difficult staying up that late because they were playing at 7:30 Pacific time. So start off was 9:30 our time. But I took my nap earlier in the day, so I stayed awake to watch it. It was an exciting match. We had some amazing, amazing plays out there. You could really see the physicality and the fierceness of our Jackal boys out there on the pitch, playing through the different climate up there. And it was exciting to see. My gosh, our mauls were on point. Our scrums against Seattle were fantastic. If you hadn't watched the game and haven't heard yet, I'm going to give you a spoiler. We had one of our boys that we talked to 2 weeks ago, Dewey Kotze. 5 tries in one match is a league record. So now the downfall to it was we didn't come home with the W. Unfortunately, we lost by such a slim, by 3 points. And I'm undecided if I feel like this loss was because of I don't even want to say it's because Seattle was better. Unofficially, off the record, I want to say the ref just for some reason had it out for us. I think Scott Green just doesn't like Dallas for some reason, but maybe not. But Seattle is a fantastic team. One of the reasons why I'm not sad about this, and I've said this in a couple of matches leading up to it, and I said this when we played Houston, was years in the past, Seattle has dominated the field against us. This year, we held them all 80 minutes, played strong as hell, pushed it to the very end. And honestly, I feel like regardless of the score, we need to hold our heads up high and say we held the number one or the number two team. Had them running the entire time and really kicked their ass across that field. So, with that kind of my take on it, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Give me kind of your takes. Jason, what was it like playing up there, playing in Seattle, playing on their pitch, on their turf? Kind of give us the rundown of what that felt like and what you saw going on.
Going into the game, we kind of knew it was going to be more of a forward-heavy game with the field being narrow, and the weather being the way it was. It was a little wet out there, so we knew the forwards were going to have to do a little more work for us, and they did. Yeah, we just had some unlucky calls and some things go poorly for us, and I think the boys played great though. Loved it, every minute of it, all the way down to the very end. Just sucks that 2 games in a row that it comes down to the wire and a placement kick kills us. So
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that I'm kind of wondering about is when you guys are traveling like this, and when you go to, like, Seattle is its own strange climate. Like, I have friends live up there, and I joke about Seattle has 2 seasons. It's either rainy or it's moist, and that's really all it has up there. Whereas compared to Texas, where we have like 16 seasons that change every couple of hours, when you go up to an area like that, uh, what how much time, I guess, is spent acclimating? Because you flew in Thursday night, Friday morning. I mean, you weren't there very long before the game.
we fly in the day before, and we'll go out to the field, move around a bit, feel around with the ball in the field, kind of get a little feel for how everything's going to be, and then you kind of just accept terms as they are and go from there.
That's good. Now, Jason with the hat, what I'm going to have fun with this the whole time. I promise. It's going to be great. Uh, what kind of stuff did you see? Now, you guys, father taught son the game. You guys have a history of rugby together. So, Dad, when you watch this stuff going on, I'm sure you pick out a lot of things across both teams that maybe jump out to you more than it would to me, or more than it would to some others. Kind of, what did you see that really good or bad across this game from either team that jumped out to you as important to notice?
Well, the Jackals, particularly their continuity in their team this year versus last year, it's like the boys play so much. It's like the continuity between the teams is so much better. They're on point with a lot of their play calling. They get caught up in a lot of dumb penalties that they do, whether they know about it or whatever. When it gets caught, it gets caught. So and I really think that's the only thing that's really drawing them back. I hate saying you're going to win or lose a game by kicks, but the last 2 weeks, unfortunately, it's come down to that. But if you look at the tries, I think we've outscored them by tries. We're losing by stupid penalties. Houston down there, the lineouts, we straightened that up in Seattle versus what we did in Houston at home. I think we're going to be okay though.
And it's interesting. You mentioned the tries and the points, and looking across the board at the current standings. And again, I mean, compared to the last few years where we've always been the bottom. I mean, this one, as far as Western Conference, we're still in 4th. We have 15 points. Coming up against Utah, I think we're going to be good there, and then Miami to follow. I think we'll be good there as well. But even just across the league in general, we still are dominating as far as points scored. I mean, 204. Now, I mean, the absolute destruction that you guys laid on Anthem definitely helped that out. I'm not even sure if they knew what game they were playing, but it was, that definitely helped. And we have put a tight, a firm grip on the rest of the league that even if we don't come out on top, we're still holding the victory for having the most points scored of any other team. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So Jason, let me ask you this. So, what kinds of things prior? So obviously, so you train here before you go up there to the game. The one without the hat.
Yeah.
What what do you take into account? How does your training differ from, say, going up against Houston versus going up against Seattle? What did you see in it as a team internally that you needed to change the dynamics from one team to the next?
We didn't change too much. We kind of just focused more so on our discipline errors because that killed us the most, and kind of focusing more so on being proactive when it comes to, say, we have a call against us. quickly flip the switch back to a positive and fix our mistakes early on, and not to dwell on the mistakes, because that's what has killed us the few tries that have been put against us. So we really try and focus on flipping that switch early on and not letting us hit those blackout zones that we did those first few matches. So
it's a Ted Lasso thing of be the goldfish.
yeah.
You just let it pass on by, which is good. You mentioned an interesting point that I want to talk about. In the last, one of the things that we were nervous about getting ready for the team coming into this season was, in the past years, there has been a dead spot between the 40-minute and the 60-minute mark, where in year two, it really felt like we had a very strong first half. And then we had kind of this period where we would kind of lose our footing from the 40 to 60. And then after that second water break, we'd come back and be strong again. And I feel like we haven't seen that this year. There's really been a real strong push to stay dynamic and stay strong the full 80 minutes. Has there been changes as far as what Cavallari is doing, and with Nate and how he's training you guys to really stay on the ball that whole time?
I think they both brought in some drills this year that have better helped us prepare to play the full 80 minutes. And I think it really shows with the guys, and the continuity on the team between the guys, I think, pushes the guys a little more to play the full 80 and not so much switch out. You got to work for that guy next to you. And when you look at somebody and you're like, hey, I need you, they know to switch back on. So I think that's really nice to have this year compared to last year.
Absolutely. And that is good. And I feel like one of the things that we're doing a little better this year, and this absolutely calls to light for you, is actually using our reserves, which we didn't seem to do a whole lot last year. So this year, it's really good to be able to get the fresh legs out there, get the fresh, get some what am I thinking of? Get some of the tired off the field. When you go into those on the reserves in the beginning of the game, do you guys know ahead of time that you're going to go in, or is it kind of a last minute decision? It could go the entire match, they never ask, or you guys can have a feeling that you're going onto the pitch at some point?
Going into the game, you kind of have the mentality that anything can happen, whether that be an injury, someone just doesn't feel well, or they go the full 80 and you don't play at all. You kind of just have the mentality that anything could happen. So they have us prepare all the way up. That way we're ready every moment of the game. So
excellent. Okay. Now, Dad, let me ask you this one. What kinds of things are you? So the great thing here with your family being local to the area, with us having some local blood out there on the field, are you guys able to? Well, two questions. One, are you guys able to work on drills together, kind of in a way that you guys did before, Jason, before you got on to MLR? But then also with that, are you guys able to spend enough time together away from all the drills and all the in the major league lifestyle? Has the celebrityism sunken into you yet, or are you able to kind of step away from that and still be a good home kid?
I'm still trying to get him to drag me around with him so I could be famous as well, So we're still working on that part. But
invite
in
him to the pool
regards to
party.
the training, we try to do that every day in off season. Edit up, film it. He does his ball drills. We're already talking about this next off season, some things we're going to work on to improve. So there's really no lay down period for him. As soon as it's over, we stay, we go to the football fields. We use the turf fields there. But then he also has tournaments in Colorado for Rugby Town. He'll go attend that. He used to do, minus last year, he was at Free Tails, New Year's Eve. He did that. And he plays a couple opens for the Reds. He plays with them a little bit in the off season as well. So
excellent.
He stays busy 24/7 as much as he can.
Good. And are you still able to be a part of that and be able to work with him on a lot of that?
Yeah. He waits till I get off work. He needs someone to shag the balls. Really, is what he needs.
Gotcha. There you go. He needs someone to practice that good scrum with and really get into get head on with.
He don't want to do that with me.
Gotcha. Hey, so I've got so Kabui has just joined. I'm going to bring him in. Kabui is our international rugby star from the Jakl Den, the Kenyan Thor.
Not a
He
star.
comes to us live from, I don't know where he lives now, but he grew up in Kenya. So Kabui, I'm not sure if you are aware yet. I've got the Jasons Tidwell above. The dad is the one wearing the
You have
hat.
the Tidwells online?
The Tidwells are
Yep.
here. The one without the hat is the one who plays on the pitch. We were just talking a little bit about the Seattle game, how that went, what they saw, and kind of what happens at home and here for training and up at the game. Is there anything that you kind of want to jump in here and ask questions about that you saw in that watch? You're muted. And possibly frozen.
I was
Or
wondering
holding
why I
very
wasn't
still.
being acknowledged and now saying all
There
these
you
things.
go. Okay.
So there we go. It's just a technical fail on my part.
It's
that
a
working?
giant piano you put in the background there. It's there you go. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a great watch along. We were on the Discord chat. I honestly thought when Jason caught that up and under, I thought we're in their 22. We're almost in their 22. We're good to go. And Scott Green blows it up. And, Jason, what were you thinking when he blew it up and he called it back for players not retreating? I can only imagine.
Just unfortunate. Just one of those
you hear
moments
me?
where you really got to dial in and
Oh, we're frozen.
Go with whatever.
Frozen, can you hear me?
Kimberly, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
He's actually answering your question right now.
Okay. Okay, let's go. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I was just saying, it's kind of one of those moments where you kind of just got to accept whatever he calls and move on and try and switch back on before the game's over and you don't have time to do anything about it. So,
it's cool to hear that from you as well. We spoke to Hogan Isaacs last week, who mentioned that as well, of the team's ability to get over the bad real quick, get onto the positive, and keep moving forward. So it's cool to hear that same comment from you. There really is that continuity within the team of that mindset. All right, Kabui, your turn.
I mean, even with the 2-point deficit at that point, this team now, I always feel like we just need to get the ball back and there's a chance. They've shown that they're resilient. They've shown that they will score points. And, it's like I said before, it's 1 through 23. We know we're going to get, production from everyone. So disappointing. I can't imagine how disappointed you guys were when you had it in your hands. I think, when we play, we say, don't blame the referee, take it out of the referee's hands. Sometimes, fine margins and all. There's just sometimes you need a call to go your way. And it just didn't on this night against probably the second best team in the league. So, Junior, for you guys, you've pushed the 2 best teams in the league all the way to within, a penalty to winning a game the last 2 weeks. I think that speaks to resolve with this Seattle game more than anything after losing the way we did to Houston. And I'm excited. I'm going to make sure my wife gets off early Friday so that I can head out from North Texas all the way to Arlington. I'm going to brave that traffic in DFW. But I need to be at that kickoff for that game on Friday because I have a feeling we're going to put some pressure on Utah. And I think that's going to be, well, we'll talk about scores later on. So how about that?
We'll get to that. And that is, that's a good transition. I want to jump into talking about this Utah game coming up. So Utah is another one that has always had a really strong physicality. It seems like the Utah Warriors in Houston have always been teams that bring a very different gameplay to the field. They don't rely on the shell game with the ball and technicality. They rely on being able to hit that line as hard as they can to create their own gap. Now, Utah, I don't know quite what happened in their offseason, but they are not playing as strong in the first few weeks this year. They're still getting some W's. They're still doing okay. They currently sit behind us at 13 points at 5th in the Western Conference. But even watching them play against Anthem, it's just they seemed really uh, uncoordinated. Um,
They
you know,
lost their longtime coach, so there's a bit of
okay,
transition with a technical as well.
okay,
They haven't had as much turnover, but they're still a very direct team. But whenever you go from one coach to another, philosophies are different from one coach to the other. So sometimes it might take you a couple of months to adjust to the gameplay and where you get more proficient at it. But I mean, like you said, they're smash and grab. They're more direct than you would with other teams that'll run more intricate like backline plays and overs and unders lines. So that's what Utah are. Heavy PI influence, Pacific Islander influence, and
yeah.
they're very direct.
So now, Jason, I kind of asked this before with Seattle, and you gave a good answer. And I'm going to ask you again, going up against Utah, is there a difference in how you guys train? Is it, does your front line train differently when you're going against a team that has a much more physical presence on the field?
When you're going against a team like Utah, which is more physical, more direct, they're a team that also, if you give them any opportunities, they're gonna try and push it down your throat. So you got to really, really focus in. So we'll try and put more emphasis on the defensive side of things during trainings that week. Really try and dial in on the little details and discipline around the rucks and stuff like that. So going into this week, you just got more focus on defense and then trying to see what we can do and exploit them on attack.
That's excellent. And I'm sure it'll be a good relief to play them on the home pitch where we're a little more used to, the confusion of which line is actually the touch compared to other places where it's more cut and dry.
Proper rugby fields.
Yeah. In
We're
training
still
yesterday,
fighting for some of that.
we didn't even have the rugby lines on the field yesterday. So I hope they painted them on by tomorrow. So
yeah.
They'll be on with the other lines, so that's the important thing. You just got to know which lines are ours, which you guys do.
Confusing.
We'll bring all the fans out, and we'll just come stand on the line so you know where they all are. We'll hold up our own flags for the 22 and whatnot.
Sweet.
I think Rick is going to jump in a couple of minutes, and I'm excited for that. Kibui, what are your concerns going up against Utah? Have you watched many of their games, had a chance to see some of their highlights this year?
I watched some highlights, and I think for Utah, we need to punch them in the mouth first, metaphorically speaking, right? Like hit them behind the gain line, like consistently for that first 5 to 10 minutes, and just kind of impose yourself physically. I think we have to match them physically. For me, keep our penalty count down, so discipline. I think we can kind of push them to where, if we test them, if we push the limits, we'll see a couple of, penalties, maybe yellow cards. And I think that's where one of my talking points was, as a captain, Sam Gala he leads by example. But one of the nuances he's going to have to pick up is having those discussions with the ref quietly, not shouting at the guy or anything, but just, hey, ref, that's been a couple of penalties here. Are we going to see a yellow? Just having those discussions. If you watch the great leaders, Warburton, Jason George, Jamie George for England, even Thierry Duscotois, soft-spoken French guy. But they all had a knack for having those discussions with the referee throughout the game. Richie McCaw. And I think when Sammy Gala picks that up and he starts using that as part of his game, then I think we get a bit more rub of the green. So I think he'll need to have those discussions because I expect Utah to be a little ill-disciplined, and we need to take advantage of that this weekend.
Okay. Now, Jason, what are you trying to work on to get, I guess, and how does this work? Like, I guess words are tough I want to see you move from the reserves to the start, to be on the starting line, and I'm certain that you do too. What kinds of things are a part of your goal that you're working on to try to make those movements up? And because I'm certain it's not as simple as like we gotta wait for that one guy to retire so we can all move up a peg. What are you working on to get up there? Kind of how are you achieving that goal?
I mean, every training I kind of just do the best I can. I talk to Nate, the backs coach, all the time and talk about things I can work on to improve and little technique things here and there with Kuka. And then I don't know. I trust the coaches. So whenever it's my time, it's my time. Until then, my job is to be on the bench and help the guys finish out the game. So
It's fantastic.
That's a great
Okay.
attitude. Just your number is going to get called at some point. If it's 5 minutes, if it's a full game, if it's a half, you just need to leave it all out there and make the coach have a tough decision to make. That's the only thing that he can do. So I'm looking forward to seeing you get more minutes as the season progresses. It's a long season. You're going to get starts. So looking for a full game and have you wreck them out there. So
thank you.
Absolutely. Let's see.
I
So
don't
I
think
think
Rick's ready yet.
no, I think he's going to jump in. So let's do this. Let's jump into our and so Kabui and I are going to do this. Jason, you absolutely don't have to give a prediction. We're going to give our prediction of the game against Utah. I don't want you to jinx
Senior
yourself.
already did.
Don't want to call
yeah.
numbers out. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He already did. He's ahead of the game.
But so Kabui, what are you seeing this Friday night against Utah? What do you think your outcome's going to be?
I think another high scoring game. I'm hoping our defense is a bit more disciplined this weekend. So I'm hoping to keep them under 20. So I'm looking for 34-17. I've seen our growth and progression, and we didn't leak too much against two of the best offensive teams, still the best teams in the league. So I'm thinking at home, gonna go 33-17. So
Okay.
He took 1 point away from
it's going to be tight till the last quarter, then we blow them open. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be tight till the last quarter. Pick up a couple of quick tries, make it look maybe a bit better than it is. But I think it's going to be about 33-17. So
You're saying we kind of lead them a little bit, give them a little bit of false hope, and then at the very end, just crush them in the last 15, 20 minutes.
I think it's going to be a tight game till like the 65-70. We're a side that finishes very well traditionally, and this season we've shown that we put up a fair bit of points in the last 20 of the games. So that speaks to the fitness, that speaks to the resolve. So I think that comes through this game. I think it's tight, and then last 20 minutes we kind of just shut them out. So that's what I think.
You know, I feel like I'm there with you. I feel like not letting them get too many points. I feel like our defense is going to hold them really solid. I could see them getting around 20, but I definitely see us getting, I would say, I would probably say 28, 30. We'll go with that. I would say 30-20 us. Yeah.
That's a fair shout.
Now, Dad, you threw yours up on socials. But give us kind of your take on what you're seeing and where your numbers come from. Shaking his head. I'm going to ask him in a second. He's got to talk up in just a minute on this, but
I think our attack's a lot stronger than what Utah's defense can handle right now. If we keep playing the same way, look what we did to Houston, Seattle. We had NOLA, the three toughest teams back-to-back weeks, and we could have won all of them. And none of them were low-scoring games. I mean, so I think our defense can handle Utah, and I think Utah's going to get in their goodie bag. They're going to be going back to their bench way before we are.
Yeah.
To pull up because it might be kind of close. And when I say kind of, 12 points at halftime difference. So they're going to reach in their goodie bag a little bit quicker than what they want to. And when we bring our reserves in, it's going to make a big difference. We're going to score more in the last 20. So and that's why I say we're going to outscore them 42-17.
Okay.
So
I like that.
Okay. So Jason, here's my question to you. And again, don't throw out numbers. I don't want you to jinx yourself. But here's my question to you on this. Are you thinking that this is going to be? I think when you look at football scores and when you see a real low scoring game versus a very high scoring game, and you realize it's a total difference of if the defenses are strong, then no one is scoring. If the defenses are weak, then it's just scores back constantly. So when I look at some of these, do you feel like this is going to be a game where it's offense smashing into offense the entire time and the ball never moves, or do you feel like it's going to be a high scoring game of just tries back and forth?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but I think it's going to be a very physical game on both sides of the ball. So I don't know, just hope for the best outcome, and hope that the boys can push through for the full 80. So
You can agree with me. It's okay.
Don't do it.
I love this.
Don't do it.
We have one last
don't do it.
superstar here. So Rick has joined us here at the end to throw in a couple of comments and questions. Rick is our rugby guru within the Jakl Den. He is the one you can hear on camera yelling at all the refs.
Sir.
And yelling at all the plays. And before he gets to talk, my big question, actually, I want to ask this on can you boys over on the reserves bench, can you hear Rick yelling from the stands? We've always wondered that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just curious there. Okay. So Rick, so we talked a bit about the Seattle game. We talked a bit about the Utah game. We just gave some predictions. I do want to throw the ball to you and give you a chance here, kind of in a couple of minutes. What have you got? What questions do you have about the Seattle game?
Yeah, so I know Seattle and Houston were kind of expected to be top of the standings at the end of the season for the Western Conference. I think a lot of it was Houston building on what they've been building since they've got Human and
Human.
Hanneke
Meyer.
Yeah, and Hanneke.
Ex-Springbok coaches.
Leading the South African bunch they've got down there. There was some expectations they would be much higher in the Western Conference this year, if not winning it. I think the Jackals going into those matches, especially away at Seattle, big question about, how would we stand up to a team that has been known to be quite a good defensive team over the years. And I thought actually we really held our own, and obviously a chance to win that match, and unfortunate not to. I think the same with Houston. Just being in those matches tells me a lot about where this team is right now. I think this team, especially with the continuity from last year, has really developed a way of playing. I think kind of a family mentality, and hopefully it just continues. Whether we win or lose right now, the results on the field are showing the fans that y'all are making the strides necessary to be a winning team. I think we could easily be 4-2 right now, maybe 5-1 if a few calls here and there, and a ball bounce here and there. And so it's been really exciting to see how much better this team has gotten this year compared to obviously year one, but last year as well. I think the biggest question coming in was before Nate was brought on, how was the team going to improve its internal structure with language barriers? Speaking to multiple players last year, language was a barrier and a challenge because there were meetings where they had to have a translator in there. And it's like, if you've got to have a translator in meetings, it's what do you you're doubling the amount of time you're in meetings. There's always going to be confusion. Then once you get on the field, then you have the extra challenge of communicating while you're on the field. And so my big question just off the bat is, do you see a huge improvement in that? Is that still a challenge for the team? And is it something that is being overcome?
Yeah. Last year we had a little bit of difficulties with the language barrier, but I think that just comes along with the whole team being new, basically. Kuka did the best he could, and all the guys over from Argentina, they did the best they could, and we did the best I could to try and translate and work back and forth and figure it out. Going into this year, I think everything's been a lot smoother now that we know all the guys, or the majority of the Argentina guys that were there last year. We kind of figured out and set upon like different wording for things, like Spanglish, if you must. And I think that has helped us a lot as a team. Kuka's English got a lot better. A lot of the guys' English got better. We learned Spanish, which is that's new for me. So
I'm still working on my Duolingo Spanish after being married to a Spanish speaker and with ex-in-laws that only spoke Spanish. So I've learned quite a bit. There's always something to learn still. So
Uno más cerveza doesn't count, Rick Collins.
¿Dónde está el baño?
Yeah.
Oh, está bien. Hablamos español, señor.
I only know the swear
I know
word. So.
that's still going to be a challenge, but it's good to hear that that's significantly improving. I wonder, Nate coming in, is that helping as well?
Yes, very much so. Just another guy that can help throw in some accents here and there that we still don't understand. So,
Nate's accent.
We love Nate. It's we make fun of him sometimes, but
Awesome.
no, all jokes aside, it's great. A lot of the guys kind of pick up the slack for the others. If no one understands, then we'll all hop in and figure it out. So
cool.
So my second question is with domestic talent. I know it's been a challenge this year. Domestic talent on the Jackals is probably bottom quarter of the league in terms of number of domestic players, especially domestic American players. Are you seeing that as a challenge at all? That there's only, let's see, 6 American domestics on the team, whereas I believe last year I had it at almost 20 at one point. Now, obviously, not everybody playing, and a lot of the American domestics not even getting game time last year versus this year, where most of those
if you
American
count the
talent
23
are
people
playing
who got game time, it was closer.
So,
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest with you. I love every single guy that we have out here. Domestic, non-domestic. I mean, the guys are guys, and I love them. So, I mean, not much you can do or say about it. So,
anything you can hint at as development teams for next season, possibly?
I can't say too much. So.
I think one thing that I have seen that I really love. Jason, you played in the Reds before you came over, and as your dad was saying, you still do every now and then. And we have I'm going to say his last name wrong, but Jarek
Sovinski.
Yes, Sovinski, who was with the Quins here locally. So it's very cool to see that we have, hopefully you guys don't butt heads in the locker room, but being rivalrous, but it's very cool to see that we're grabbing people locally to play on this team. I do like that we're getting some of the more international.
Tupelo also was with Grand Prairie. He's on the side, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool. And I think it would be great to hear more from the Jackals administration of using these as feeders to go from these existing clubs up into the MLR, and hopefully they do in the near future. But it's great to see that we are looking locally as well. It always means a lot to us in the fan base because we have a hometown hero. And I know, Gola, born in Colorado, but still grew up in Arlington. So
no, opposite.
Oh, did I do it opposite? Oh, born in Arlington and then
born in Arlington, grew up in Denver.
One of those. Yeah, so, we still have some of that, which is nice. So I know Kabui's got to jump off. I appreciate you coming in and giving some input, asking your questions. I love your new layout.
Thank you, Jason and Jason.
Yeah, no, it's excellent.
Appreciate you guys
I didn't
coming
know you
on.
had a piano in your house, Kabui.
I told you, it's that African gold mine money. Get on it.
All right, brother.
All right,
We'll
see you
later.
guys.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
So I have one final question as kind of a roundup, and I know Rick's got a couple more, but my big one to you is now that the MLR is getting a lot more, we're getting some giant names that are coming into these teams as far as famous coaches that have been around the world. We've got
players. Kira Dury playing his first match with Seattle last weekend against us, and he's a huge name out of Australia.
And I mean, Nanu, All Blacks Cup champion. I mean, it's some of these people that we have that are playing right now is phenomenal. Is there anybody that is on your I guess your like celebrity list of like, man, not only on the pitch, but I can't wait to meet this guy off the pitch? It's kind of like, is there anybody you've been watching that you're excited to go meet and shake hands with?
Man, I would say so, but I kind of feel like if I say something along those lines, in my head, it kind of makes them what's the word I'm looking for? Not human, I guess. So when I go to play them, I make them out to be a lot better than they are.
That's
in
fair.
my head. So it becomes a little tricky.
Is there a player in the league that you're excited to shake hands with after a match?
Oh man,
Rick's going to find a way to
overseas?
make you say
Maybe
it,
there's
even though you
somebody
just said you don't want to.
No,
who's not over here who you'd like to see over here?
No, I can't. No, I'm never not picking you.
Man, just shut lid over here.
It's like a
I
mental.
love how we have Jason times 2 over there.
Yeah.
So here's a question to back onto the fact that both of y'all are on the same call. How nice is it to have your dad there, and Dad, how nice is it to have your son, you know, kind of in your own backyard for all this season?
Oh, I enjoy it. It's definitely gives me something to do. You know, whenever he decides to put the boots up, I'm going to be one bored dad because I don't watch TV, you know. So I look forward to get off work, go help him train, chase balls, whatever it is, and then just try to stay young. He keeps me young, you know. So
Good.
And I love yelling from the stands. I wish he'd run faster sometimes, but that's okay.
Dang.
That look was
Typical
great.
heat from Pops.
You know,
So
it's easy on the sidelines to yell, run faster, knowing you can't even come close to him, you know. So it's just easy for me to talk it from the
He's the
sidelines.
professional,
sure
though, right? He's the professional, not you.
Yeah.
So Jason
That's
Jr.,
fantastic.
how is it having your dad on the sidelines, picking you up from the airport and just kind of being there for you?
Amazing feeling knowing that my dad is my biggest fan. Family is like my number one, I'd say. It always has been, always will be. So having him around and my mom around and all my family locally coming to all the home games when they can, it's just a great feeling knowing that they're around. So it's just one of the reasons I do it. So
how do you feel about kind of the future of MLR? Is, you know, as a young guy, you're going to have opportunities to go play overseas, I'm sure. I mean, maybe not the highest level, but let's say you talk to McKean and he's like, ooh, I mean, get you over there on a Premiership Cup side with the Quins for a season. Are those opportunities of interest to you, or are you really kind of excited to continue playing in MLR? Do you feel like the competition level is high enough that, you know, if you're going to try and be an Eagle, right? That's the hope and dream of every American rugby player, that this is where you need to be to do it? Or are those opportunities something that you and some of the other guys, you know, do look at?
I think the opportunities overseas would always a good thing. The competition overseas is going to be different no matter where you are. So I think it's always great to play overseas. I would be keen if Maka was to reach out or somebody. But I think the MLR is going up in talent level. I think it's great. So I think if it keeps going the way it is, you know, I'd love to stay in the MLR for a few years and try and get my opportunity here.
Yeah, I think it's a real challenge, especially for American players versus players from other countries where, you know, a lot of Argentinians are going to Italy to play, or Premiership or even France, seeing that as a better opportunity than SRA, for example. But, you know, New Zealanders are going to play Super Rugby. Australians are going to play Super Rugby. South Africans are going to play URC. Like, that's the top level of competition. but they're playing for their home teams. And so I think that's still where we struggle is our players' best opportunity to perform at the highest level is going to be overseas, not necessarily here. But it's good to hear players saying, the competition is getting better every year. And I think not just from American players, but even, Billy Meeks and Mananu and guys like that saying the competition here is way better than we thought it would be. Like Nanu's saying like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know how many more years I could do it here. I really thought I could play a few years, but now like the level is high.
It's there, yeah.
So it's exciting to hear that even the players coming from overseas are saying that the level is good here. At least good enough to get us, to 27 and 31. Obviously, 31 being a huge target for American players. Playing in front of home crowds, is that a big push for you? Are you, in contact with USA national coaches, and how does that work? I know, the Anthem are the basically U23 program, but there's plenty of guys' goal is obviously on the radar, but how do you get on that radar?
I think it's about connections and who you know is a good portion of it. And then also kind of just making a name for yourself. I think if I get more playing time, it'll be easier for me to showcase certain abilities. And I think it'll help me stand out more and get my name out there for the USA. So,
yeah, and I think that's also a tough piece of it is some of these guys have chosen to go play in Carolina because of the opportunity to be playing with the USA national team coach and under a closer eye of the head coach and president of the, Eagles program. So is that at all, obviously several of y'all were put up for draft to Carolina, but didn't go. I think we were really happy to see that didn't happen. Is that something that you would even consider in the future? Oh, I know. Oh, trust me. I get all the insider news.
When I heard about the opportunity, I decided I wanted to stay here and kind of back myself and put a name out there myself and earn it the hard way.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's going to be much harder at yeah. I mean, Carolina is exciting, but you see the results and it's expected at least for this season, right?
Yeah.
And if you can prove it at a program where your coach doesn't first language is not your language, and he's bringing in his own guys, and then he has to make the decision to play that should pull some eyes and some ears.
Great. I kind of want to, much as I want to keep this going, I think this is a fantastic conversation. We're about at the end of our time.
Do I get to put my score up? I think I already did. Jason,
yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yes, please give us your prediction.
Your dad does it like Monday. I'm like, give us some time to figure out what the lineups are, for God's sakes.
He's got the inside scoop.
Wait till Wednesday. We haven't even gotten a roster yet. When is that? When are we getting the roster?
Usually an hour before kickoff.
I know. And my problem is I'm now into the fantasy MLR, and so I've got my team set, and I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to play this weekend.
Did you pick him?
I did not have Jason on it. Sorry. I got Dewey though, and I had a nice weekend.
I'd have Dewey too.
I think I put up my expectation it's going to be fairly high scoring. I think I had 36-27, something similar to that. The concern has been we're putting up a lot of points. This is great. It's exciting rugby. We're also giving up a lot of points. Utah is not giving up very many points. So I think it'll be really interesting. I think it's going to help a lot that we're playing at home. So I think we should win this game. And I think winning this and then beating Seattle at home and then Houston late when they've already sealed up the Western Conference on the road, should seal up the conference for us, assuming everything kind of goes 50-50, between now and then. So my expectation is we get a win tonight, this Friday. That is a stamp saying we're winning that 4th spot in the playoffs at the minimum, and still with a chance of chasing down San Diego. So that's kind of where I'm at. To me, it's not necessarily a must win, but it's pretty close too. Home game against the other team that's kind of fighting for that 4th spot. So 36-27, but we got to get up early. We got to score a couple of tries early. So excited to see that happen. I will be there.
Yes.
I'll be there by myself unless I can find somebody to take that.
We'll be there with you.
You bringing those green smoke bombs?
So that is not me. That was provided by the team last year. So I need to get in touch with Janelle and Bill and see if we can get some smoke bombs for this season, because they have. We just totally forgotten about it. So yeah, we need them.
We're working with them, trying to get some new ideas and some things put together for victories, for tries, for chance. We're trying to get some of that stuff put together with them.
I like fireworks. I mean, I'm sure the Rangers could spare a few.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we should.
The ownership is basically our ownership, so it should be.
Just
at least you got the American flag up, which I complained about last season. They didn't have an American flag up in this team anywhere. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So, Jason, it's been really exciting to watch you play this season. I'm excited to see that continue. Maybe extra 5 minutes every match until you're playing 50 minutes a match would be good. I know that backfield, though, is pretty stuffed right now. So maybe don't hope for injuries, but hope for that playing time.
Yeah, tons of talent. So like
I
said, just trust the coaches. They know what they're doing. So
hey, what is it? Better talent raises all boats, right?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna end it on that. We'll I guess one final round. Jason, anything saved? Anything?
Yeah. What do
last
you
thoughts,
got
comments?
for us? Anything you want to shout outs or?
I want to shout out to myself.
We'll make sure to tag you on the video, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, please do. I don't get enough attention.
No. He doesn't need any more attention.
Fantastic. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys coming in from the Jakl Den. Kabui, who was on here, was fantastic. Rick, appreciate you taking the time to jump in. Jason, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's always phenomenal seeing you on the pitch. It's always phenomenal hanging out with you in the stands. It's great. Please, next time you come with a big giant crowd, please stop by the tailgate, hang out with us, have some beers and whatnot. We always see that tattoo walking right past us to go inside, hang out and say hi. That goes to everybody else watching. Again, the tailgating will start at 5:30 on Friday. Lot E, the southwest corner, kitty corner from the entrance. We'll have the grill going. We'll have our flag up. We'll have some coolers, probably some games, something going on. Always some good socializing out there, and we'll make sure that we get it in time to get our custom limited edition Sam Gola bobblehead, which I'm excited for.
We'll have plenty of scarves. I'll be selling
scarves
them. I
to
sold quite
sell.
a bit last tailgate, so we'll have them back out there.
Yes. So again, thank you all for your time. Thank you guys for joining us. Look forward to the game on Friday, and swing by next week for the podcast. See who our special guest is then. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good night.
Okay.